Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of my show. This is part two of episode 14 that I was supposed to do last night, but I ended up moving to today. It's my opinion explained on the Bloodline storyline in WWE. So let's get started. So, how the Bloodline originally started is Roman Reigns came back from being taking time off, and it was an episode of Smackdown, and they showed him sitting in this location where Smackdown was being held, and he basically says that he's back, and we see they cut to the end, and they show us that Paul Heyman is going to be the new special counsel for Roman Reigns. And so that's how the Bloodline, kind of the backstory is. If you go back in time and look, Roman was in another group. That's how he made his WWE main roster debut back in the day with the Shield. And the backstory is that how did the Shield end? With Seth Rollins hitting Roman with a chair in the back. So fast forward, Roman starts his own group, which is the Start of the Bloodline. And it starts with Roman anointing Jey Uso, the right-hand man. And Roman basically puts Jey into a meteoric rise to becoming main event Jey Uso. And everything's going all well. And Jey finally kind of starts to recognize that Roman's kind of just using him and abusing him and trying to show him that. So then finally Jey snaps and says, you know what, Roman, I want to face you. And it was, I think it was Hell in a Cell 2022. They had a match, an I Quit match, inside of the Hell in a Cell structure. I think it was a Hell in a Cell I Quit match. And Jey is being choked out. And then we see Jimmy come out and tell Roman to stop choking out Jey. And he throws in the towel. And then on the next episode of SmackDown, Jey comes out and is talking to Roman. And then here comes Jimmy. And Jey says, Jimmy, why did you throw in the towel? I didn't say I quit. And basically, that's how the Bloodline starts. And then then they start their dominance and go on a dominant run. And all was going well. And then we get to Clash at the Castle. And it's Roman versus Drew. And it's halfway through the match. And it looks like Drew's about to... No, correction. It's near the end of the match. And it looks like Drew's about to win when all of a sudden Drew gets distracted because he sees somebody coming out of the crowd with a hood on, with a jacket on and a hood. And it ends up being the Usos' brother, Solo Sikoa. And Solo interferes in the match and ends up costing Drew the match. When Drew had the match won, and fast forward, so Solo is brought into the bloodline, and again, everything's going well. And then they start the whole Sami Zayn angle with the bloodline. And so Sami's in the bloodline, but not only are people are trusting him because he's still friends with Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens had a long history with Roman. They had a bunch of matches, and Roman won all of them by cheating, of course, because that's what the bloodline's known for. And so we get to the Smackdown after Survivor Series, and it's the main event segment, and Sami, Roman, Jay, Jimmy, and Solo, they're all in the ring, and basically they anoint Sami Zayn into the bloodline officially as the honorary Uos, and he's brought into the bloodline as an honorary Uos and has to do a lot. So, and then fast forward to Royal Rumble. It's the end of the match between Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, and Roman is just beating the living daylights out of Kevin Owens with a chair, and then all of a sudden Sami steps in front of Roman and says, "Stop hitting him with the chair. You've already done enough damage." And Roman says, "Here, you take the chair. You hit Owens with the chair." And Sami waits for Roman to turn around and hits Roman flat in the back with the chair, just like Seth did to him in 2015 when the Shield ended. So now that's the slow downfall of the bloodline. So basically they go, we fast forward to the Elimination Chamber premium live event in Sami and Kevin's hometown of Montreal. And Roman has told the Usos to not show up because he wants to try to win on his own. But they do the opposite. They show up and they try to cost Sami the match, and it backfires. And then the bloodline slowly starts crumbling, and now we fast forward to WrestleMania Night 1, the Usos versus Sami and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos. And the match is going really well. And then the Usos try to cheat like they always did when they were in the bloodline with Roman. Because that's the only way they know how to win. But it backfires. And Kevin and Sami end up winning the titles. And so then you fast forward to the Smackdown after WrestleMania, and Jimmy and Jay ask for their rematch with with Kevin and Sami, and they grant it because they say we're fighting champions, and the Usos dedicate the match to Roman and say, we're going to win the titles back for Roman. And what ends up happening is they lose. And then what happens after that is Roman's gets all fed up with them and says, y'all couldn't get the job done. So me and Solo are going to step in and try to win the titles, the tag titles back, and bring gold back to the bloodline when Roman already has 2 titles. And he's been champ for well over 900 days. And so fast forward to Night of Champions, premium live event. And so it's Sami and Kevin versus Roman and Solo for the titles. And the match is going well. And then I don't know if Jimmy meant to it's halfway through the match and near the end. Roman's down and the Usos come out and they take out Kevin and Sami. And Roman looks all happy about it because he's like, okay, good. They're here to help. But then the unthinkable happens. Jimmy accidentally superkicks Solo first when he was trying to go superkick Kevin and or Sami. I don't remember which one because I lost track because I don't remember who the legal person was in the match. But anyway, fast forward to like 2 minutes later, Kevin had Roman set up for a super kick. No, for a Superman punch. And instead of Superman punching Kevin, Jimmy comes in and super kicks Roman the first time. And basically what happens is Jay says, why? And from what I've heard from my friends, what was said was, I'm doing what you should have done a long time ago. Were Jimmy's specific words to Jay. So then Roman's down and Jimmy super kicks Roman again. So fast forward, the match ends. Great match. And the storytelling is just chef's kiss. You can't write a better story than this. And it gets better. So it's the Smackdown after Night of Champions. And Roman's not there, but Hayman is, and so is Solo. And Roman tells Paul to go pull some strings because he wants Jay to stay in the bloodline. So he ends up getting Jey Uso a U.S. title shot. And basically, so what happens is the match is going on. Jey Uso versus Austin Theory. And it's a good match, but then you got Pretty Deadly comes out and interferes because they're Austin Theory's new running buddies, apparently. And so what happens is Jay gets caught up with them, and then it's a 3-on-1. And then here comes Jimmy out to help his brother. But then Solo comes out. Samoan spikes Jay. And Jay ends up taking the pin. And Austin Theory steals the win. And then, so fast forward. Jay couldn't get the job done, obviously. But I'm going to add a little twist. So I go on Twitter and I look, and now everybody's saying they want Jay to be the one to dethrone Roman. And in my opinion, I mean, storyline wise, it works. thought, I don't think Vince is going to co-sign off on that and say, let's make Jay Uso the one to dethrone Roman. And I just don't see it happening. And then SmackDown, last week's SmackDown, Jay finally chooses his side. Everybody thought he was going to side with Roman. He said, he walked up to his brother and said, in the main event segment of SmackDown last week, you're out. And he walked towards Roman. Then he turned around and walked back and said, I'm out too. And super kicked Roman. And there was a loud pop for that. And here's what I see happening next is I see Solo, because they're having a tag team match at Money in the Bank. What I see happening is Sikoa, Samoan spiking Roman at some point in the match and letting either Jay or Jimmy get the cover for the win. And that's how Solo turns babyface on Roman and goes against him. And then, but I think what ends up happening at the end is I think Cody Rhodes ends up finishing the story at WrestleMania next year and winning the titles. Even though he's on Raw, I think he ends up finishing the story, winning the titles. And that's how Roman goes off on his little hiatus, maybe to Hollywood, and he takes a little break from WWE, and then he comes back and becomes a beloved hero babyface. And that's all I have to say on this. Thank you to everybody that came out to this stream. I will be back in a couple hours to stream again. Please like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.